Well, hello there. From the last episode, you may have noticed that the rudder is missing from the boat. I removed the rudder, and the reason why, when I was purchasing the boat, the previous owner said there's play in the rudder. And sure enough, when you held the rudder, it moved this way quite a bit. And the reason for that is because the rudder bearing was completely worn away. The actual post was no longer forming a tight seal in the shaft. So this particular video is on the rudder bearing replacement. Olson 29s are tiller driven as opposed to wheel driven. So step one was to remove the tiller. I piled some plastic tote containers underneath the rudder. That's just to prevent the rudder from crashing to the ground when I loosen it from up top. Up top at the tiller head, there's two pinch bolts that had to be loosened. There's also a pin that goes right through the top of the rudder post. You can see the 1/2-inch socket here attached to it. So that has to be removed. And once that pin comes out, the whole rudder can drop. Here's a closer look at the rudder. Actually, in terms of the bearings, there's two bearings that are on the post itself. There's an upper bearing that would go here and a lower bearing here. So I purchased two bearings from Marine Outfitters, but they were Olson 30 bearings. This is one of them right here, actually. The thing is, like, Olson 29s, there were only 25, maybe 27 of them ever made. So understandably, finding parts for them is not easy. But there's lots of Olson 30s. So I took kind of a gamble, thinking that maybe the rudder bearing on the Olson 30 would work on an Olson 29. But unfortunately, it doesn't. Now, the inside diameter was close. With a little bit of sanding, I probably could have made it work well, but the outside diameter was much too small for fitting inside the boat. It was too loose. So I guess there was an option of filling in material around the outside, but I really wasn't keen on doing that. Thankfully, a wonderful neighbor of mine owns a 3D printer, and he came over, he took some measurements, and he volunteered to make up some of these prototypes. And this is the one right here that we've settled on. It has a good outside diameter, and of course, if you look here, it does spin fairly easily. We've left it like that for now. We're not going to use this, of course. It is a prototype, but of course he has the CAD drawings, which we've now sent away to have a new bearing manufactured from Delrin, which is, from what I understand, a type of plastic that's frequently used in bearings. So that's exciting, and we're waiting. That, I've been told, will probably be here in maybe 2 weeks. Okay, let's take a quick look at the fitment. Ooh, it is a bit snug. A little bit snug. Now it feels as though I could punch it in. The rudder post itself is metal, but they have these thin layers of material here. It looks like fiberglass. So here, as I just showed, these are the areas that would turn inside the rudder bearings. I wasn't happy with these regions. It wasn't a smooth surface, not like I felt it should be, like in a rotating part of the rudder. So I decided, oh, great idea, let's sand these down nice and smooth. So the frustrating part is I've obviously sanded away too much material, because now, as you just saw, it spins too freely. In fact, look at this video here. I've put in some play now back into the rudder bearing, the exact thing I was trying to fix. So yeah, that's why I'm a little bit upset with myself right now. I'm obviously now going to have to put material back around in these regions to build up the thickness again, so that it is not so, to get rid of the play. Anyway, let's go enjoy some lobster. Now, ultimately, I ended up doing a light sand in the rudder shaft itself, and that enabled me to tap the rudder bearing into position. All right, I'm just mixing up some G-Flex right now, and this is probably where some people are going to question if this is the right thing to do or not, because quite honestly, I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not. The G-Flex epoxy is it's a thickened yet flexible epoxy. I'm just going to smear this a thin coat around the bottom of the rudder post, and hopefully that'll make a tighter seal within the rudder bearing. Okay, so I just mixed up this epoxy, as you saw, and I ran it around the bottom of the rudder post. So that little bit of material, I hope, will be enough to make the fit a little bit tighter. So there are a couple little spots here that I'm just filling in with some quick fair epoxy. getting closer. Today I'm going to wax the hull, but more importantly, we're going to put the rudder back on. That's been finished. Bottom's been done, painted, wet sanded. We're getting close. Well, there you go. The boat has a rudder again. Thankfully, I can cross this off the list of jobs complete. It's taken a while. I started this project in the fall, although I really didn't work on it over the winter, but certainly picked it up again in the spring. It did take some time, but it is now finished. Rudder bearing replacement. The bottom has also been painted, as I just said. So we're getting closer to getting into the water. There's still a couple other things that we're working on here with electrical work, gate stanchions, and the cockpit floor. Needs some work, but this job is done. I'm happy with it. Now, it's certainly not as impressive as, like, for example, what Sabotage Sailing did. If you ever have the opportunity to check them out, I highly recommend it. They also have an Olson 29. They've done extensive work to it as well. Some neat modifications there, but one job they did was a complete rudder replacement. So I highly recommend checking that out. Anyway, job done for us here. Take care, everyone. See you soon.